A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to films I should have talked about years ago. One particular series of films that I definitely should have talked about a long time ago would be any full-fledged example of Dragon Ball Z, or at least just Dragon Ball. In this particular instance, I'm going to be talking about a series of more recent films. Films that did in fact start a new era, or arc, if you will, within the main timeline itself. Here we have ourselves 2014's Dragon Ball Battle of Gods. This centers on an all-new continuity, which eventually sparked an all-new series known as Dragon Ball Super. Essentially, being the first new arc to develop after such a long time, with 4 main arcs known as the Saiyan Saga, Namek Saga, Cell Saga, or Android Saga as it's typically called, and then finally the Buu Saga. All 4 of these were a highly enlightening and impossibly amazing adventure. They marked the many adventures of Super Saiyan Goku. Son Goku and his family and his friends and the many allies and enemies that he encounters. But what Battle of Gods does is it creates a 5th new arc or continuity for the main series. And soon after there would be many more that would follow, thanks to Dragon Ball Super, along with other such media. Well, anyways though, what Battle of Gods does is it centers around Goku himself. Taking place 4 years after the events of Majin Buu, after the defeat of Kid Buu in the planet of the Kais, or Land of the Kais as it's typically called, there is a peaceful life that occurs on Earth for the most part. If you remember the events of the Buu Saga itself, Gohan is in fact in high school, meets up with the daughter of the famous legendary Mr. Satan, known as Videl. And they actually get together very well. They eventually marry. And as for everybody else, you got Goku's family, including the likes of young Goten, and Vegeta with Trunks. Goten and Trunks are in fact able to form using the famous fusion dance technique to create the all-powerful Gotenks. Certainly nothing like what the Potara fusion had done, if you remember when the Elder Kai gave Goku a set of Potara earrings to be used by him and Vegeta as a way to fight off Super Buu. Definitely the most powerful Z fighter that ever existed, above anything else that we've ever seen. Well, anyways though, with Battle of Gods, a new power awakens. A long nap done by a god of destruction called Lord Beerus. He's basically awakened by an angel known as Whis. They both discuss a few things that had happened in the history that had followed since Beerus first went off to bed and essentially just laid there for a long time. Whis informs him that an old nemesis known as Frieza had actually been defeated by Goku. And so, this prompts the two to go off on a search to find Goku himself, who was in fact at King Kai's planet, in the other world. So, of course, when they first meet up with each other there, Beerus, Whis, and Goku are all together now. And they actually discuss a bit of a thing known as the Super Saiyan God. This actually goes as far as to prompt a fight between Goku and Lord Beerus himself. And what do you think happens? Even Super Saiyan 3 doesn't even work. Wow. So when you really think about it, the tables are absolutely turned against Goku in favor of this new main antagonist. So of course, after being able to recover from such brutal blows to his body, thanks to the usage of a Senzu bean, Goku was able to find out that Beerus is in fact searching for a so-called Super Saiyan God and really wants to find out himself what that's all about. He learns that a birthday party will be happening for Bulma, Vegeta's wife, on planet Earth. So he basically goes over there, and what happens is that when Beerus and Whis also arrive on planet Earth, they themselves discover the party and are also wanting to know exactly who knows anything about the Super Saiyan God. Anybody who is pure-blooded in terms of Saiyan, which of course the only real big examples would include Goku and Vegeta. So when they find Vegeta at the party, they are able to find out that he himself has his own wife and his own life, simply bonded together. A lot of shenanigans take place. The party itself is loaded with all sorts of fun stuff. But then of course there comes the big part, known as Bingo. It happens to be a big event because there are a lot of prizes that await them. A lot of money, a big house, and all 7 of the Dragon Balls. The very items used to summon a powerful dragon known as Shenron, whom is able to grant any wish. So if you thought the genie was overpowered in terms of granting any wish of any kind, well, Shenron is basically there, able to give you a lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of anything. Even able to bring people back from the dead, as it has been done before, multiple times. Alongside another Dragon Ball collection, which were native to Namek, and therefore able to summon another dragon known as Porunga. But in this case, Beerus and Whis basically watch. Various things happen. A Dragon Ball gets lost, conflict goes off between some of the attendants, and between a lot of different people out there. It's apparently enough to cause Beerus himself to eventually turn up irritated. But the real kicker comes in when he tries all kinds of food and is very much pleased at all kinds of different cuisine. Lots of different cooking and creativity are put together in order to make him happy, as he is in fact very, very gluttonous. How he's able to keep his figure very slim, yet still eat tons of calories every day, makes little to no sense. At the same time, he also naps for long periods of time. Again, lazy complacency can only get you so far if you really are a god. But in this case, he eventually goes up and tries to find an item called pudding. It turns out that there's nothing left. And that is because Majin Buu, if you remember from the Buu saga, there was the Kid Buu, who was basically known as the source of evil. And then there was the Fat Buu, who actually is supposedly the epitome of good. The good that tries to take out the evil failed to do so. And under Mr. Satan's care, he actually is able to do good for the rest of the people on Earth. But what he does here is a grave error, a horrible misjudgment. Majin Buu essentially steals all of the pudding for himself. And when he eats it all in front of Beerus, man, that's enough to trigger him. Enough to force Beerus to lay waste to Earth entirely. However, this is basically the point where Goku eventually shows up to the party itself. And by using the Dragon Balls, he is able to discover that Super Saiyan God is a bit of mythology told in the Namekian folklore that is there to be the next savior of justice and equity. And Super Saiyan God itself can only be done via the usage of 6 different Saiyans, all performing a special ritual at the same time. Of course, this prompts Goku himself to try it out to see if it still works. But this is where they run into a problem, because the only people on Earth or elsewhere that are on Saiyan bloodlines include Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Trunks, and Goten. Only 5 Saiyans are there. They cannot do the ritual properly. But here is where we get to see Videl is in fact holding on to a baby. Literally. She has their own child. She and Gohan have their own kid. And while a pregnancy might not actually count, it actually does the trick. So Saiyan bloodlines actually do reach to 6 on Earth, and maybe throughout the rest of the universe. So of course, 6 Saiyans are together, and Goku is the Super Saiyan God, the ultimate rival to Lord Beerus, the God of destruction. And so, the epic fight that we've been waiting for between Goku, a Super Saiyan, and an all-new main antagonist, who would actually go on to represent a lot of continuity throughout Dragon Ball Z, well into the future, by all means. So by the end of the movie, we do get to see an epic ending. Goku simply using Super Saiyan God to his advantage, and eventually retreating and reverting back to a previous form, but still able to keep up with Beerus and able to land good punches and strikes, while Beerus might have expert dodging capabilities as he is much faster as a God of destruction. Apparently Goku's Super Saiyan form, even in previous states, is enough to keep up with him. So it only goes to show, enough training has to be done in order to ensure that you can land your targets with enough blows to the face or body. So the film itself does end in a really positive way. Bulma's birthday is successfully done until they run into another problem. But of course, this is where we do get to see Dragon Ball Super. Another birthday for Bulma is held on a cruise ship, and a similar series of events pretty much comes together, just like in this movie, so it's almost like it deliberately ripped off itself. But hey, you know what? I guess there probably isn't too much that I can go off on that part because it's not even a movie, so it doesn't count. However, though, tomorrow there is another movie that does act like a sequel in a way. It technically takes place a little while after the events of Battle of Gods, but you'll get to see me talk a bit about Dragon Ball Resurrection F. So, make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.